Today I have some tips on you for getting good referees for your job application. Hi everybody, welcome back to Talk and Chalk. I'm Beck. My current position is as a Deputy Principal Instructional Leader in a New South Wales public school, and today I'm going to share with you just a few quick tips on getting good quality referees for your job application. So this could work for you if you're going for a permanent position, as in merit selection in my system, or if you're going for an expression of interest, EOI. Now, different systems will have different processes, so be mindful that the information that I'm sharing with you today comes from my perspective, which is in the public system. Most schools, though, will have some kind of process where you need to have a referee to vouch for your skills, for your qualities, and to also vouch for what is in your job application as well. So hopefully the things that I'm going to share with you quickly today will be helpful. And I also have a template of a cheat sheet that might prove useful to support your referee, especially if they're brand new to doing it. So jobs are coming up at the moment, and more will come out over term 4 as we hit the end of the school year. People are leaving schools, changing, they might be getting promoted, they might be retiring. So those positions are all opening up. So main thing is making sure that you are following the procedure for the system that you are in. So in the public system, there are certain rules around referees and how many you can have. So for example, usually an expression of interest will have 2 referees, and for merit selection, for permanency, it will be 3. And there are guidelines around how these referees are contacted, how you can ask them questions, and when you contact them. For example, out of the 3 for merit selection, the 3rd one might usually be called, or would usually be called, after you've been to interview. So those first 2 are key to getting you to that interview portion. So for the most part, you should have your principal as your first referee. And that is a stipulation in our system. There are different elements around not having your principal. For example, if you have been in a position outside of your school, let's say you've been in higher duties in another position at another school for a few years, you might want to use that principal as your referee. And if your substantive principal obviously can't vouch for your current application, then that would be the better person to have. And you just need to make sure that you go through the right processes to make sure that that's okay to go with. Now, if you have been at a school for a short time and you don't think your principal can speak well about the things that you do, this cheat sheet might be handy. Make sure you give them a copy of your application. But be mindful, principals pay attention to what you are doing. Even if they're not in your room every single day, they can vouch for your punctuality, for your attentiveness when you are in staff meetings, for the participation that you make during professional learning, and for the other contributions that you make to the school. So if you're running choir, if you're running sporting activities, principals know these things. They might not be there every step of the way going, good job, but they know that you're doing it and they know that you're doing it well. They will also try and touch base with your supervisor to make sure they get good clarification around these things. And principals are experienced at doing this. They know how to talk about their staff. So if you're unsure about the things that you really want your principal to vouch for you, you can jot those things down into the template that I'm providing you today. Give that to your principal, so at least if there's something that you really want to get across to the panel, your principal will be able to do that for you. The second referee that you have, though, this really needs to be someone who can speak well about you and who works closely with you. We don't care if they've got a title. It's great to have your supervisor as the person who can speak second for you, because they will be able to talk about the things that you do in the classroom, the connections that you make with the community, how you work with your kids, and all those extra things that you might do in the school. So make sure that when you're picking that second person, you're not necessarily picking someone you just happen to know who is a principal or a deputy who works in another school and hasn't seen you for, teaching for a year. The panel will not respond to that just because that person has a title. They really want to know someone who knows what you do well. So make sure when you're picking that person, really keep that in mind. Obviously your supervisor is the best person because they're the one currently working closest with you and can talk about the wonderful things that you're doing and how you're growing as an educator. When you're picking the third person, again, same thing. Don't worry about titles. Worry about the person that can speak passionately about you, who can speak honestly about the things that you do, and someone who can also speak well over the phone when they're going through that process. If you've got someone who can tell wonderful things about you, but they get really anxious on the phone, or perhaps there's someone who might easily stumble over their words in those high pressure situations, they may not be the best person to go for. Sometimes those things can be fine-tuned with a bit of practice. If you sit down and have a bit of a mock panel, or ask if someone else can call up and pretend to be, a panel, and give them some random questions over the phone. It's hard because there's no questions in front of you when you're doing it over the phone, but those things can be practiced. So if you're someone who wants to referee for someone else, see if you can go through those practice motions as well. Again, the cheat sheet that I'm giving you might be able to help those people answer those questions about you as well. So I recommend filling in one yourself from your perspective as the applicant, and then ask the person who's refereeing for you, what kind of things do they want to say themselves, and what would they write down in there? And it's just easy to have in front of you. So when I'm refereeing for someone, I have their application in front of me, as well as my cheat sheet of things that I want to say. So what I'll do now is let's swip. Oh, you can tell it's nearly the end of term. Oh my gosh. Let's switch to the cheat sheet and have a look at what's in there so that you can help your referees prepare. Alrighty, so this is the referee template. Try and keep it to one page so that you're not fumbling through folding pages and looking at different things when you've got the person on the phone. So what I've done is I've color coded to try and make bits stand out. That's just me because I'm a visual person. I've got it for you in a PDF version and a Word document version. So if you want to, just write on it or whatever, you can, or if you want to type into it, you can. So if the person that's filling this in for you or refereeing for you would prefer to type into it, obviously send them the Word document. So starting at the top, the name of the teacher and what they're applying for, what school they're applying for. Sorry, this is important because if you're applying for multiple positions, or if your supervisor is refereeing for a lot of different people at this time of year, it's important to have that listed on there so they don't accidentally pick up the wrong person's bit of paper. So starting off is just employee qualities. What is this person like as an employee? Like I've got on there, punctual, are they resilient? Do they follow the code of conduct, the ethics, the values? Are they generally a good employee? Are they a hard worker? Do they pick up things at the drop of the hat when we know things aren't going well? That kind of a thing. Okay, moving into classroom strengths and whole school strengths. So we're looking at strengths across the board here, and this is a good snapshot for the person to go, okay, there's a whole bunch of different things in there, and if they ask me specifically about classroom, I go to the left over here, and if they're asking me about whole school things, I can go to the right. So obviously classroom strengths might be things like your classroom management, behavior management, time management, having resources ready, being creative, following the timetables really well, making sure they're adhering to all of the support timetables and utilizing the support very well. Looking at whole school, are there any whole school programs? Are we talking about coordinating athletics carnivals? Are we looking at initiatives like PBL? Those things that go across the whole school. They can put notes down about that. Any additional contributions? Are they running extracurricular activities? Do they help? Are they a federation representative? All those additional things. Then I've got this the orange boxes here about the impact. So lots of dots about the impact here. And we can talk about, I've narrowed it down to students here and then separated onto the right-hand side here, teachers, school and community. So we're looking at students first, obviously, because our students always come first. So regardless of whether you're going for a classroom teacher position or an executive position, there will always be students in that impact there, and we want to know that difference. So they might have some examples about data from your classroom and that shift that they can see. They might have examples about the behavior changes that have happened in your students, the positivity, perhaps growth mindset, or even the achievements that the students are getting simply because of the input that they have from you. Looking at impact with teachers, school and community, how do they contribute to the team, to the stage, to the grade, across the school? What are they doing, and what are they doing within the community as well? Is this teacher someone who volunteers for the markets on the weekend? Do they help out with the sausage sizzles? Are they really good with parents and being able to talk? Are they getting external agencies involved? Have they coordinated an excursion to the local, elderly home or something like that? So when we go to scenarios now, this one is always important to have there in front of you, because this is the one that you will often get stuck on, because sometimes the wording can be a bit fiddly, or just because you get in that moment, you'll get stuck. So a scenario option for positive. This is a story. So the panel might ask the person, could you give us an example of when this teacher did blah? And you want to have different scenarios there. And these are the big things that stand out. These are the stories that we tell in the staff room, when we're really proud of something that happened, that kid that's been struggling all year with writing. What was that light bulb moment? How did you get to it? These are the kinds of things that you want here. So when you think scenario, think story. What's the story that I could tell about this teacher that one time? Because a lot of them, they'll say, can you give us one example? That's not the opportunity to give them 10 different examples. They asked for one, give them one solid quality example. When we go to negative, this is not something like, oh, what did they do that was wrong? This might be something like, could you tell us about a time that this teacher didn't do so well in something and how did they learn from it? How did they grow? And we all have those moments. And if we're not honest about those moments, are we really even honest with ourselves? That's an option for that section there. And then down the bottom here, areas for development. A lot of panels will want to know, what are the areas for development? These are the things that are in our PDP. So we could talk about, area for development for this person is behavior management. We haven't had the PL options that we wanted this year due to COVID restrictions, and therefore that is still an area of development for that teacher. So I'm going to give that to you guys in a Google folder linked in the description box below. Make sure if you are viewing this in some other form of social media, open this up into YouTube, click on the little arrow down below that has the dialog box, and you will open up the link to the Google Drive with this resource. I hope that's helpful for you. Please feel free to share that with anyone that you think will find it beneficial. Sharing is caring. That's why we do this. Remember, I don't spam, I don't sell. What I will do though is pimp out the channel and say, if you like the video, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed yet, I'll put my button down here. You can hover over that and click to subscribe. I'll put another video up the top there. If you're going to watch any of my CV writing tip videos, be mindful there are new guidelines in place. Thanks guys. See you in the next video.